Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Don't Fit Podcast. I'm Joey.
And I'm Ryan.
And this is our first pre-recorded episode.
Yeah, we have to take about a 4-month break of live episodes from this location. So we're pre-recording some episodes. You'll probably see some where we're wearing the same outfits that we're wearing right now, but we might get some Zoom episodes going in the future with some possible guests. We'll keep uploading though, maybe not every week, maybe every other week, but we're still going to be dropping some content, so don't worry.
Yeah, the last thing we would want is to starve our viewers that have been so loyal to us. Obviously, can't say thank you enough to all those people who continue to watch us and will continue to watch us no matter how we get the content out. We know there are a few people who will join, which means the world to us. Which leads us to our first topic of conversation, the Mandela Effect.
Yeah, I love the Mandela Effect. I'm always really interested in it. I used to watch videos on it all the time. Do you know why it's called the Mandela Effect?
I do not.
Well, okay, so I'll explain it then. Basically, Nelson Mandela, when he died pretty recently, like within the decade, I think, when he died, people were like, he already died in like the 80s. So people thought that...
Real quick, that's so disappointing. Imagine if, like, that back half of your life, people were like, oh, yeah, I thought he was already dead. If that's
the thing,
if that's how I go out, that's so sad.
That's the thing, though. That's why this is so weird, because there's even, like, books that people found written, like, before he died the second time, where they're like, yeah, Nelson Mandela died in this year. And, like, there's people that wrote stuff about Nelson Mandela dying, like, 30 years ago. And so, like, I guess it's kind of like... is two timelines or like time travel like messing things up, which is pretty interesting to me.
And I feel like most people know what the Mandela Effect is. It's like you're totally convinced of one thing, and some of the examples out there are so like minor and insignificant, but people think like, oh, I thought this was like this, but in reality it's not. I think the best way, it's like, oh, my whole life has been a lie when you find out one of these things. But that leads me to this. I think I have undoubtedly the best example of the Mandela Effect because I've never heard anybody else talk about it, which is surprising to me. And I hope that maybe like we always talk about blowing up or something like that. If something gets us to blow up, I pray that it's this because I'm so convinced that this is a Mandela Effect that nobody's talking about. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Okay. So everybody knows the artist, The Weeknd, right?
Yeah. Oh, most people.
Yeah, and you know, like In the Night.
Maybe by the time this drops, he'll be performing at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This might be perfect timing.
Yeah, so. Right? And so, The Weeknd, the way it's spelled, like if you would have said your life depends on spelling the artist The Weeknd, I would have been like, okay, Weekend. Okay. But that's not how it's spelled. There is no third E. It's just Weeknd, which is... Come on.
That is good, but, like, I can agree with you. Like, I think that's a good one. But for some reason, I can't remember, like, of me. There's some people that you remember, like, when you first heard of them and, like, their first song you listened to. I can't remember, like, when I heard The Weeknd or if I, like, saw them on, like, my phone or something, so I saw how it was spelled. So I can't say that I have the same like realization, but like I could see where you're coming from.
But it's also one of those things too, like you just assume that that's how it's spelled. You don't have, there's not much thinking behind like, oh, like they spelled The Weeknd
you like
wrong.
Ask somebody like, oh, who's this song by? And there's The Weeknd.
Yeah.
So then you just go throughout your whole life, not life, but
but
go about your business.
But this is why I think mine's more special than everybody else. And this one might be a stretch because I think this might be a personal thing, but I'm convinced the first one's not, but the second one might be. I was for the longest time, and when I say recently, it's like the guy's been around for a few years. You said you don't remember, but he's been around for, I would say over 5 years. Like he's been producing music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Probably longer, but I just can't remember. But for the longest time, I thought The Weeknd was like more than one person. Like I thought they were a band. And before you're like, okay, that's a stretch, I want you to think about this. What is The Weeknd? Is The Weeknd like just one day? No, it's multiple days. So why would The Weeknd just be one guy?
That and like the music isn't like one person kind of music. And I guess you could say that about a lot of people, but it does sound like it could be like a band. Mm-hmm. Like some dude on the keyboard. He's got that kind of flow to him. So I could see that too. But again, I can't remember the first time I was hearing about The Weeknd. So I definitely probably just saw him. I was like, oh, that's The Weeknd.
Yeah.
So
it's also one of those things like I feel like with all the Mandela effects, it's nothing you put that much time into thinking about. Like,
That's true, yeah.
It's just something that just kind of pops up. But when this one popped up, it was like common knowledge for everyone else. But I was like, wait, let me hear that back again.
Though, too. It's like there's things that you just go about your life, and then like you could look up Mandela effect, and they're like, oh, Pikachu has like a black part on his tail, and you're like, okay, I never like looked into that, so maybe I just thought he had a black part, but he doesn't. But that reminds me of another one. If you guys watch Cody Ko and Noel Miller's podcast, they talked about this, and it was really interesting. So, do you know where the Statue of Liberty is?
Is that it's in New York, right? Or, wait, New Jersey?
No, okay, no, that's not like do you know what island it's on?
I don't even know a island, so
okay.
no.
So there's two islands, I guess, that are kind of close to each other, and it's Ellis Island, which is like the immigration place, and then there's Liberty Island. So the Statue of Liberty is on Liberty Island, but there's people who claim like it was on Ellis Island, and I don't know, it could be fake, but I guess there's pictures of people like posing with Ellis Island in the background, saying like the Statue of Liberty was in this picture, and it's not there anymore.
That would honestly that would mess with your mind a little bit, because you can't just move that stuff, and it would be news if it was like taken down or
That's
something
what I'm saying.
That.
That one's weird too, because like the pictures.
Yeah.
Imagine like if it was you and it was real. You have a picture of, say, like you with some monument, and it's not in that. It just disappears from that picture.
Yeah, that would definitely bother me too.
Yeah. So that one's a pretty interesting one. And then the last one I have that I was going to talk about, because this is like, I feel like a lot of us as kids took Flintstones gummies. Mm-hmm. Did you ever take those?
Some sort, yeah.
So even if you didn't watch the Flintstones, which I didn't, you had the Flintstones in your house kind of like growing up.
Yeah.
It's actually not Flin stones. There's a T. It's the Flint Stones.
Whoa, okay. Wait. And so like the gummies are Flintstone gummies too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that weird?
That one is maybe more shocking.
Good.
And it's talking about like the removal of letters in the weekend. Like this is like adding a letter, like, and
yeah.
I don't know. And it can get back to a lot of stuff. It could be like how you pronounce it. Like, is it just us? Like if you have like an accent, is there more emphasis on something like that? But that's a lifelong, like, you just assume one thing and it's not.
I know. So that one, that one's probably really crazy to me, because think about like saying Flint Stones. It just doesn't sound right.
No.
So
moving on here, I think we live in a great day and age where like self-love is a big thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're always talking about love yourself, and like it's easier said than done, but I think I've gotten to a point where it's like I'm content with who I am. I wouldn't change it. Obviously, I would love to make millions and do all this cool stuff, but I'm happy with who I am as a person. But there are still things about myself that I just can't stand. And one of those things is like, I guess I can't really control this, but like I think one of the worst things for a lot of people are when you find out what your side profile looks like what you... And
I was going to say that one.
Okay.
I was going to say that one.
See, this is the problem with no scripts, is we would have discussed this, but unfortunately. But again, you can just...
But I have a good one. I have a good add-on to that.
Okay.
So keep going.
So, but like side profile plus what you look like from behind plus what you look like when you're walking, bro. All three of those are so big. But no, I have
a little like bounce walk.
I have a little like double whammy right here. So I remember one time at school, someone took a video of me like walking from behind, and so I had my backpack on and stuff like that. But when the video was sent to me, I had no idea that it was me. So I was like, "Bro, who's Mr. Potato Head with the bad posture?"
Oh.
And I was like, "Bro, I'm Mr. Potato Head." Yeah,
he just blamed himself.
And then I just deleted Snapchat.
Was that when you had a buzz cut?
No, this was like when I thought I looked good too. Like this was like junior year of high school when I had like.
Oh, so that's kind of recent.
Yes.
But no, going back to the side profile thing, I was actually gonna say somewhat similar things to that. People always say like, "Oh, I hate my side profile. Hate my side profile." I like my side profile, but I don't like it's straight on.
Really?
I don't like. I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, damn. But then I go like this. I'm like, all right.
Do you think you have a better side, one side over the other?
Yeah, I think everyone does, because your face isn't symmetrical.
Yeah.
And you ever do the inverted filter on anything? Like TikTok, people do it all the time. Mm-hmm. But no, like, and everyone, I feel like most people, like, like the left side of their face.
Yes.
Because when people are taking pictures, they're like, I want this side. And we actually argued over which side we were going to get for the podcast. I lost the argument. But
is it the left side for you?
It's my left side.
Yeah, it's my left side too. And so that's one of those things like you have, and we've always talked about this, you have like a jawline, like it's very prominent, but I don't. And one of those things too, like I never had like braces growing up, so I have like a little bit.
You never had braces?
No. And so
that's really impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, really?
I mean, it looks like you had braces.
I floss daily, but
that's not why.
But it could be. And so I just never had it. And like again, because they said I never really needed them, but obviously I think a lot of people could like get braces and it would help a little bit. But I have like such an overbite that like I don't, and it might not be that reason alone, but like I just don't have the most prominent jawline, and so I'm like. The left side is about as good as it gets. So if you guys are watching this and you're like, that looks terrible, it wouldn't be better on the other side. And so
you talked about the best side of Joey and the worst side of me.
Yeah. And
so think about that when you think of who's better on the show.
And so, but you said the inverted filter. I've never done that because I'm not very
it's rough.
Well,
it's
but
rough.
I have like a mirror in my house where it's like one of those, it's like a cabinet at the same time. And there's another mirror. So you can like move it so you can see all angles of your face. Yeah. And I was like, the first time I saw it from the left, I was like, yo, is this what I look like? I'm like, that is not bad at all. And then I kept moving the mirror and I saw what I looked like from the right. And I was like, oh my God. Because another thing too, like some people style their hair. I have like a twitch where like sometimes I'll just run my fingers through my hair, but it always goes one way. So I always look at it from the side that like I moved it from. And I'm like, that looks good. Versus where I moved it to and I'm like, that looks bad.
Yeah, that's definitely like something, like hair going one way. My hair used to be like off to one side. Now it just kind of goes wherever it wants. But I would always like when I'd respond on like Snapchat, I would always do the side where the hair, you couldn't see the end of my hair because it was really short and it was just like this weird like spike over here. And I was like, that looks awful. There's a hole, didn't look bad, but just that didn't look good. But also moving on to bringing up TikTok. We always talk about TikTok. We've gotten a few comments that we talk about TikTok a lot. But that's one thing I actually don't like about myself. I'm a huge procrastinator and TikTok is awful. And I'm scared for like school because I go on TikTok for one video. I'll be like, I'll go on TikTok for 2 minutes. I'm on there for an hour. And like everyone says that, so I mean it's not like a unique thing, but I'm definitely addicted to TikTok more than any other social media.
I'm convinced TikTok has ruined my life because, and we talk about like I'm like, oh, anyone who knows me knows I don't watch movies. That was like my whole lifetime. Like even from a child when I was growing up, I never watched movies. But now I don't have the attention span to watch a movie that's like 2 hours long. And so and I think it's because of TikTok, because it's like, oh, sometimes if a TikTok video, the max of video is a minute long. If it's like taking too long to get to the point, I'm like, skip it.
They'll be like, oh, top 5 athletes, and the intro's like 20 seconds. It's a skip. Yeah. It's a skip 100%. But going back to the movie thing, it's hard for me to watch movies too, because not as much my attention span, but like I'm so used to like when something is boring, I just whip out the phone and I start going on my phone. So like I start a movie and like the intro's kind of what are you doing with that? Sorry, I thought you were showing me something.
No.
And I'll go on my phone for like 2 seconds and then it's just a chain reaction of just like I don't understand what's happening now. Yeah. This is boring because I don't know what's happening, and then the movie sucks. But like the movie probably was good if you just watched the whole thing.
Yeah, for real. But for me, like another thing that I just like don't really like about myself, and I say this to a lot of people, but what people don't understand is if I tell you this, it's most of the time because either A, we're friends, or B, because I'm comfortable around you. But one of the things that I can't stand about myself is how socially awkward I am. And again, you're like, oh, dude, no, you're not. You've known me my entire life. Like it's a little bit different, and this like goes into like the overthinking. Like I'll like I said, even with like the counting the footsteps of the guy behind me, I was like, why do I do this stuff to myself? Like, do I think everything is a big deal? And like when I have to make a phone call to like schedule like an appointment or something like that, I was like, all right, let's go through this. I'm like,
phone, dude. I have to like plan out everything I'm about to say when I'm talking to like an official person on the phone too. That's what like too. You're like, oh, I'm socially awkward, and I was like, but like, who am I to say like they're not? Like, oh yeah, as if I'm not like kind of awkward myself. I think everybody is. I mean, you just got to be in the right scenario with different people and you feel comfortable. But I mean,
yeah, I get nervous and I get like sweaty and like I don't know. And I always think about like not like what would you do, but I'm like what would other people do in this exact situation because not everyone interprets things the same way. So I was like some people would react or respond to something, and I even think about like stress. Like some people could have like a bunch of homework and they're like, "All right, let's just do it." But me, I'm like, "Oh my god, I have a bunch of work to do. How am I ever going to get it done?" But it's like, dude, just start it. Like,
Yeah.
why do I think like that?
The thinking causes more of an issue than just if you would have just done it. So, but yeah, I think that's all we got for today's episode. Again, one of our first pre-recorded. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully, we have some Zooms in the future, like we said, maybe some guests, and maybe a few like best moments.
Yeah,
collages.
for sure. We're looking at maybe a deleted scenes, unreleased footage. Probably some screw ups because we do have a lot of those on here. But again, thank you for making it all the way through here. If you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and remember, don't fib.